I can't wait to listen to this episode tomorrow when I'm sober. I'm excited.
It's rough.
It's definitely
rough.
It
gets into some rocky territory on both sides.
For sure.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to Wednesday Night Gentlemen, Multimedia Empire official podcast. This is episode number, is it 24?
23. I labeled
23.
it as 23, so I hope it's 23.
Okay. Well, we've already blown the intro. Anyway, on this show we talk about comic books, movies, TV shows, video games, and everybody's favorite, political discourse. I'm your host, Tactic Angel, and with me is Midget Radio,
Hello!
who you already heard from.
I'm going to just keep fucking it up.
My murderous socialist friend.
Hello, all.
How are you today, Midget Radio?
Doing great. Tactic Angel, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. It's about to get better.
Yeah.
I understand that you are drinking something that you drink frequently.
Yeah, I'm on the Tullamore Dew. There was just a little, not even a shot glass worth of Glenlivet left in the bottle, so I just left it.
Do you have enough Tullamore Dew for this episode?
Definitely, yes.
Okay, because this is going to be action-packed.
Yeah.
I have, and I'm opening it right now. This is going to be like a reveal because I've never had this before.
Oh, exciting! It's like a open boxing.
Yeah. Oh, it's an unboxing. No. It actually is quite complicated because there was a plastic wrapper and then there was a collar on top of that.
Wow.
Which had a booklet attached to it.
Wow, literature.
Then it has the little paper tab. And then you have to unscrew it.
That's a lot of security.
Stillhouse Original Moonshine.
Son of a bitch. I guess
well, you don't
that's
want
why.
people getting into your shine. I'm trying their Apple Crisp Whiskey.
Ooh. Shit, that sounds good. I bet that is good.
Well, pouring ourselves a glass here. This is probably going to be a long episode.
Yeah, well,
today we'll be talking about. Today we're going to be talking about Judge Dredd, Mega City 1, Gifted, Star Trek Discovery, and political bullshit.
And
yeah,
great stuff. Can't wait.
I have a theme. Don't worry. There's a theme to this.
Okay, what's that?
You'll figure it out.
Oh, I don't know if I will.
Maybe not. Cognitive skills go down as the episode goes on.
I'm already getting a jump start, so.
Okay. Well, first we're going to just take a little sip of this.
It sounds great. It sounds
pretty good. It's not quite like apple pie. It tastes like specifically green apples.
Okay.
And
because I feel like in the apple pie, maybe there's a little cinnamon. You're not detecting very much of that in.
No. This is definitely apple bourbon or apple whiskey. Okay. It's not an aged whiskey because it's clear.
Okay.
So that's interesting.
Yeah.
That is in honor of America.
Of America, yes. Clear alcohol. It
says
makes me think of America.
It says America's finest on the front. So
fantastic. Sounds about right.
Who knows? Maybe this is what brings us into the bold future of Judge Dredd Mega City 1.
Nice transition.
All right. So in 2012, one of the greatest action movies in recent years came out. It featured an IP that was surprisingly, a number of people are aware of, but probably for the wrong reasons, or really just one wrong reason, which was the 1995 Judge Dredd movie starring one of our personal favorites.
Hell yeah.
Sylvester Stallone. It apparently left such a bad taste in everybody's mouth that even 17 years later, A lot of people still couldn't get it out of their mouths. Sadly, this means that Carl Urban's performance as Dredd, alongside the lovely Elizabeth, already going, Olivia Thirlby, played the side Judge Anderson, pretty much wasn't noticed until it came out on Blu-ray and DVD, and I think it's safe to say has become a pretty major cult classic.
Yeah,
for
I'd
the
say
recent
so. Yeah.
era, anyway.
Absolutely, yeah.
What do you know at this point, Midget Radio, about this?
I've only heard that it's going to be a TV show. That's all I've heard. We don't know whether it's going to be like a streaming service or what, but yeah, that's all I know. Aside from the fact that you also failed to mention Lena Headey in the movie, who is also amazing as Mama. I just feel like if she's in a thing we're talking about, she should be mentioned and appropriately praised. Because she's awesome.
Yes, she is in it. She is great. She's mostly great for killing off all of the characters I don't like.
She does a good job of that.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
I hope she kills everyone.
I do too. Cersei for the win.
Anyway, I did listen to this. There's actually a really interesting podcast that you can get out on SoundCloud, or I think it's on Apple and Google as well, that features the executive producer, or one of the executive producers, and the director or showrunner, something like that.
Okay.
And they talk for about an hour and a half about what they want to do, which is
nice,
pretty great.
Yeah.
We are apparently not going to see this for about 2 years.
Yeah. Okay. I guess that sounds right with as little news there is right now about it. I guess that's not too surprising.
What would be your number one question if you were to be able to ask the showrunners?
Is Carl Urban going to be in it?
That's is the first question in the podcast. Come right out, and it's the right question.
Yeah.
It's the right question.
Hell yeah.
So the director and producer have been in contact with him, and there is, I think, a mutual interest there from how they were pitching it.
That's awesome.
Obviously, he's a fan of the comic, and it sounds like the only thing that might hold that back is availability. Probably money. Probably money and availability. Little bit, yeah. They didn't say money.
Sure.
But
they never do. But
Carl Urban is worth probably more than he's paid.
Yeah, I'd agree with that too. He's pretty great. He's a pretty great actor.
They also mentioned that they would like to see, if possible, Olivia Thirlby, got through it that time, come back as Anderson as well. I thought she did a fantastic job.
I did too. Yeah, she was incredibly likable. And yeah, I dug her character. I really enjoyed the psi powers stuff with her. That was really fun. Yeah, she was a great character. I'd love to see more of her.
Well, she was a great foil, is what it was.
Yeah, totally.
And really,
yeah,
like one of the best foils that you can see, because Dredd is actually not even a character.
No.
And interestingly enough, when they were talking about this, they're basically, it sounds like, going to do just straight up world building. And it may be called Judge Dredd.
Yeah.
But they're like, yeah, even if we get Carl, even if we get, someone else to play Judge Dredd, you're not just going to be following Judge Dredd around.
Yeah.
And watching him, shoot people.
Yeah.
A lot.
That's awesome.
So, I mean, they would be doing, they'd be doing stuff with probably like street level gangs. And then, I don't know, maybe the episode just ends abruptly when door gets kicked in, you get shot in the face.
Yeah. That'd be pretty sweet.
I thought that sounded really interesting. The production company that's going to be doing it is called Rebellion.
Okay.
They are owned, it sounds like, by 2000 AD.
Oh, really? Interesting.
So
okay, cool.
it sounds like kind of the way that Marvel broke into cinematics before, becoming part of the mouse. It sounds like they're kind of doing a little bit of that, but on a smaller scale, and also probably a better scale for really what you would want this kind of world building and this kind of, honestly, even as a procedural, in a bizarre sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
This would be a fascinating world to do that in.
Absolutely.
Kind of like Almost Human or whatever the heck that was.
Yeah. Which, was not a bad show, but Dredd would definitely be more fun.
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely would. The distributor is going to be I Am Global.
Okay.
Who nobody really gives a shit about distributors, but they did distribute Battlestar Galactica, Bullet to the Head, and the Dredd movie.
Well, those are all fantastic productions. So
there's a whole shit show of stuff I haven't heard of and stuff that's probably terrible on it too. It sounds like what they want to do is get it on a premium channel. An
HBO or a...
Yep.
Okay.
HBO or Stars, I think, were the two that they mentioned. They did say they're also open to streaming services like Netflix.
Yeah.
Like Hulu or Amazon or something like that. So, that's how we're probably going to get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Granted, we have, I think that is 90% of the information out there.
It sounds like it. I would hope for something like Netflix. they only because they seem to put out like a new show every fucking month practically. And I'm pretty sure that Dredd would be better than most of them. So it'd be nice to see. I'd prefer to see it on Netflix if we see it anywhere.
Yeah. I hope so. I would like it on a streaming service. I would like Amazon or Netflix because they already have them.
Yeah.
There are some other shitty services out there.
Yeah.
That I don't want, like CBS All Access.
Really, like that one.
Yeah. I don't want it to be on that.
I don't want anything to be on CBS All Access.
I do have one other thing that just popped into my head.
Okay.
They said specifically this is not going to be Dredd 2.
Okay.
And in a sense that makes me sad. Because what they said is basically there are things about Stallone's Dredd movie which are great.
Yeah.
And there maybe aren't all that many things.
No.
But they said specifically Mega City 1, as it appears in that film, which is just a ridiculous city built on top of another city, built on top of another city, is really more of what Mega City 1 is. And for budgetary reasons, they couldn't really do that with Dredd.
Sure.
Because, it's just a shit ton of CG, right?
Sure, yeah.
But then everything else that, the world from A is great, but everything in Dredd that happens once they get to the peach trees is 100% fully authentic Dredd.
Yeah.
I kind of hope they keep the look feel of specifically the Dredd or the Judge costumes.
Yeah, well, definitely the costumes, but I also felt like Dredd was that city was a little dirtier and grimier when they were at least outside in the street and stuff than I feel like Stallone's Dredd was, and that seems like an enormously important little detail I'd like them to keep.
Yeah, there was a little bit of the too colorful aspect of Dredd's, but if you put a filter over it and,
Yeah.
like Saving Private Ryan, desaturate that.
Yeah.
I think it probably looks fine.
Yeah.
And yeah, dirty, hopeless.
Yeah.
We need dark, all of these things. Dredd.
Definitely.
This is really making me like salivate. And it's making me need to drink more, but like, holy shit.
Well, it's only going to help.
Any closing thoughts on Judge Dredd?
No.
Soon to be our favorite TV show.
Probably. Yeah, I'm super excited for it. The world, it's a really fun world. And I think it's perfect for television. I think it's better probably on television than it is as a movie.
Yeah, I like it too. And in terms of just like being able to sit in a world and really get a sense of it, TV usually does do a better job of it, provided you have the right sort of budget.
Yeah.
And being able to really get to know characters.
Yeah.
Because I mean, as much as we love characters, like in the Indiana Jones trilogy.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, we only have about 6 hours with Indy.
Yeah.
By the time you get through Farpoint Station and 3 or 4 more episodes, Star Trek. Well, we're going to talk about Star Trek later, so it's not like this is intruding.
That is true.
You've already had 6 hours with Picard.
Yeah.
And you have 100 more episodes to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, like 150.
Or 7 times
Anyway.
20. Like, yeah.
So you have a lot of time. And I would really like this to be successful and for them to really build this world, and they did say they want to cater to the expectations of an American audience to a certain extent, because like we're a big market.
Yeah. Okay.
It's gonna be made in England. I don't think that matters at all, but I think that makes the British people feel good about I don't know, England first. That's good.
Great.
It's fine.
Good for them.
So,
I wonder what the
subject over.
differences are, like between
What?
an English market and an American market.
I mean, you would think sarcasm,
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe there's a little more dry humor and.
but the thing is, it's a satire on America.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, honestly, I mean, it's interesting because they're outsiders looking in, and that's not disparaging. It's just what it is. And then kind of throwing their interpretation onto it, a very unfavorable one. But it's still fascinating.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited for it, regardless.
Yes. You're also probably excited for Gifted.
Yes, I am.
So there's a new TV show coming out from Fox. Fox owns the X-Men, and they do with them what they please. There's a new trailer out there for the upcoming TV show called Gifted. Now we are going to say a lot of meaningless, hopeful, and uninformed nonsense based on what we saw in the trailer, and maybe some other things that we know. Midget Radio.
Yeah.
Proprietor of a major X-Men podcast.
Enormous.
What did you think of this trailer?
I'm pretty excited for it. It looks I always have to like couch my reactions to this a little bit because like the trailer on its own, I would say if I didn't know what it was or what it was about, it looks like fairly generic superhero TV show. But then you find out that Lorna Dane is in it, and they're not sure whether the X-Men or the Brotherhood are even still around. And when I heard that, I was like, well, this is going to be the greatest show in the world. So I'm excited.
until Dredd.
Yeah, maybe until Dredd.
That line stuck out to me because the rest of it's pretty dull, honestly.
Yeah.
I assume that they mean the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Okay. I was like, yeah, okay, fine. I assume they have to get there probably by the end of season 1, because otherwise, why would you call it Gifted? Because that's clearly a reference to Charles Xavier's School for Gifted Youths.
Yeah, totally. I have no idea. It's really hard to tell. It's hard to tell whether the show has anything to do with the movie continuity, and then 2, to what degree are you going to see like the school or actual X-Men? Because what's weird is the main characters, the 2 kids, for the last name is Strucker. And obviously we have Baron von Strucker in the Marvel universe, but the Strucker twins, I think it was like Andre and Andreas Strucker, are mutants in the comics. These 2 kids have different names and they don't appear to be twins, and they seem to have different powers. But the inclusion of that name is a little weird. So that by itself makes it kind of difficult to tell. Like in what is this going to be, like sort of its own universe, yet another like alternative take on the X-Men, or what? But then we have Lorna Dane, Polaris, which I'm really goddamn excited about. Blink is in this as well. And then Thunderbird, Warpath's brother, who died in and around the time of Giant Size X-Men, when the X-Men were kind of reborn back in the 70s. So I mean, you've got legitimate characters here, but also some variations of others. So I don't really know what to expect, honestly.
Yeah, I thought I saw Blink in there, and that kind of made me excited because Blink has awesome. Fun powers.
Yeah,
and
she does.
She was, even though she was, I believe, lineless, she was really fun in Days of Future Pants.
Yeah. Yeah.
But is it like I looked at it and I'm like, who is that? And I went on to IMDb to see who was playing her, and they have everybody listed by their normal or their, human name.
Yeah.
Human name.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Right, Midget Radio?
Human name.
So
your slave
I didn't
name.
see a Clarice Ferguson, and I was like, I think they must be doing like their own take on it. And I honestly would prefer that they don't have to worry about the movies.
Me too.
And to the extent that you even could, even Legion, which isn't bad. It's just, I don't know how you make sense of that. And also, if you had that outside perspective rather than just watching Legion through the eyes of an unreliable narrator, then I think it does make that show less interesting. Yeah. Because then you watch it and you're like, what happened? And you flip the channel and you watch the other one and you're like, he's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Hey, fought a Sentinel today. No, you didn't. You went to a Dunkin' Donuts.
You were crazy at that Dunkin', and now we're banned. But yeah.
Jimmy behind the counter was not pleased.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to expect. I hope the show focuses, more on itself and its own creator's vision, like Legion did, rather than the movies or trying to be true to any kind of continuity, because I don't think it really matters all that much at the end of the day. And all we've got is the trailer, so all I can say is kind of surface level stuff. I like that Matt Nix, the creator of Burn Notice, is running the show. This is kind of his baby, so that's fairly exciting. I'm a little bit disappointed that Bryan Singer is directing the first episode and has anything to do with this. I just feel like his tenure on the X-Men it should probably be over by now. Maybe should have been over for a while.
I think that's just there because I think Fox thinks that he understands the X-Men, because X-Men 1 and 2 were pretty good, and it's like X-Men 1 was passable, X-Men 2 was pretty good.
Yeah.
And then he left, and then it was shitstorm.
Yeah.
Oh, it must have been because Bryan Singer's a fucking visionary.
Yeah.
Not because somebody should have read the script before we started.
I don't know. But suffice it to say, I'm tired of Singer's X-Men universe. He's done. I enjoy X2 genuinely, and I enjoy Days of Future Past genuinely. And I have a complicated relationship with Apocalypse, but it does feel like it's time for some new blood.
I have two things that I want to say. Are you ready?
I'm ready for both of them.
Do you want the good one or the bad one?
I don't
first?
give a shit.
Okay. It looked like there were Spider Sentinel things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there any grounds for that in a comic book?
God, not that I can think of.
I think the answer is no.
I can't think of one.
But I do think that it's a much more reasonable way to catch a mutant
in a city, yeah,
than a 3-story tall purple man
just crashing through the fucking local mall because he's got to get those mutants. I mean, that's the mission.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And isn't this, from what we saw in the or in the trailer, it feels like the same plot as Heroes.
No,
because
I would not say so. No.
I am almost positive. It has been so long since I watched it, and I didn't really like it. But I'm pretty sure that Hayden Panettiere's character's father was a government stooge that had something to do with catching magic people.
Yeah, that's probably true. So maybe in that sense, but Heroes was like, this guy has a bit, save the cheerleader, save the world, and like it was a stupid fucking show based on like a ridiculous, obnoxious prophecy. And yeah, no, I would not. I would say it may share that element.
It looks like the Polaris's father. I think they imply he catches mutants.
I think. Well, I'm not sure that's Polaris's father. It's one of the Strucker twins' dad.
Okay.
But
whatever.
And Polaris seems to be some sort of imprisoned. I don't know. Maybe anti-government. Probably X-Men. Mutant. So probably some sort of fugitive. But yeah, I would say. I mean, it may share that element, but that's not enough. At least for me, for a comparison to Heroes of all shows.
It was 1-to-1 for me, man. Do you have? That's my two questions. I am curious about it. I'm not quite in the fanboy territory that you are.
I'm excited for it. I mean, I think Legion is a fucking remarkable show. So, I mean, they've at least hit the first live action X-Men series has at least, I would say, hit the ball pretty fucking hard. So I'm hoping that this, but I mean, at the end of the day, I really just hope it's a moderately decent superhero show about the X-Men. That's really all I care about.
Yeah. I think the trailer shows that they haven't completely dropped the ball.
No, not yet. No,
I'm interested. We will be back.
Lorna Dane, Tactic Angel.
Yeah.
Live action Polaris. I wish her hair was green, but still.
Don't we all?
Oh, also Kobe Bell, Jesse from Burn Notice. I like him. I liked him a lot on Burn Notice. I'm excited to see him in this show, working with Burn Notice creator. That's kind of sweet. So
he was fun.
Like
his
Jesse.
Character arc was silly.
It was, but it was Burn
fun.
Notice. I mean, that whole show was kind of ridiculous, but
it
was fun.
It was weirder than sci-fi. Any closing thoughts?
No, I'm excited.
Okay.
Live action X-Men.
Okay.
Can't
now
say
we're
it
going to
enough.
talk about the STDs trailer.
Okay.
There's something new that's coming to CBS, and they want you to have it. It's STD, the 7th TV series in the Star Trek line. And if you want STD, all you have to do is buy CBS All Access. So, what are you thinking? Are you a fan of STD at this point, Midget Radio?
I'm gonna ask you first, but I'm gonna say if Tactic Angel can separate himself from the sort of politics of CBS, Paramount, their litigious nature, and their insistence on putting this new Star Trek show on CBS All Access, if we could put all of that in the back seat look at the trailer.
I don't want to talk about that. We will just accept that CBS is full of jerks. And that doesn't mean that a jerk can't make a good thing.
Sure.
Did you think this was a good thing so far?
So I believe I've said this before. My attitude, all I really want out of a new Star Trek series is for it to be better than Enterprise. So I will say this. The trailer does not look worse than Enterprise at this point.
I profoundly disagree. I respect your opinion, but you are wrong and stupid.
I can't wait. Present your case, sir.
I should preface this. I don't know what order they came out in, but I watched this after Seth MacFarlane's space action spoof comedy film thing.
Yeah.
That I think dropped a trailer within 1 or 2 days.
Yeah, if not hours. Yeah.
of STD. It's for Orville.
Yeah.
And I think in almost every way, except that it is a comedy, it looks more like Star Trek.
Okay.
Than this show.
Okay.
Everything on this just reminds me of kind of miscellaneous sci-fi. I saw some stupid movie on the Sci-Fi Channel, and it had nothing to do with anything except that it was trying to draw the same audience. I mean, if I could have seen people's bellies, I would compare it to Andromeda. It looks so silly.
Okay.
What the fuck was happening? Was that supposed to be a Klingon?
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
I don't know. I did hear a rumor, or some speculation that may be like some sort of unique, long dormant or ancient breed of Klingon. Perhaps somewhat tangentially a sort of genetic offshoot, like the same way that Worf briefly explains the issue between the smooth-headed Klingons and the weird wrinkle-headed Klingons in DS9.
I didn't ever like that. I just wanted them to, like, it seemed really meta for them to even address it. And I was just like, it's fine. They didn't do makeup in the 60s.
Yeah.
They do makeup now.
Yeah.
We're fine.
Yeah.
If we had a problem, we would have addressed it in 1977, 1979, when people are like, how is that a Klingon?
Yeah. Well, I imagine it was an issue when Next Gen came out, but
by the time we were born, it had been resolved.
Yeah.
And now it's true. Like fucking decades after that. All right. So I guess the space Uruk-hai are going to be the baddies.
Sure.
And they wear like stupid looking armor. It would look stupid in a fantasy game. And it looks even more stupid when they're in space. And they're going to be going off and they're going to be fighting this ship that I honestly am not all that bothered by the ship, but there's no part of it that looks good. I mean, like, it's not about the ship. So Discovery, the ship looks terrible. It looks like it was designed by a 3-year-old and they just went with it. It's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. I don't watch Star Trek specifically for the ships. And you know me for a long time. And I still, to a certain degree, feel this way, was anti DS9 because there were too many space battles.
Yeah.
And the space battles were too big.
Yeah.
And it's not why I watch Star Trek.
Yeah.
It's why I watch Star Wars, but it's not why I watch Star Trek.
Yeah.
Same thing. The costumes are terrible. Even the Federation. What the fuck are they wearing?
It's like a blue costume. There's like some stripes on it.
It's got the silver stuff on the sides that kind of comes in.
Yeah.
It looks bad. If they switched out the costumes for what they were wearing in Orville and then actually had the Delta shield on it, it would look better. It would look better.
Well, they do have the Delta shield, don't they? Isn't it on the chest?
Yeah, they do, kind of. I mean, it's slightly different, but they do, but not on the Orville one because they get fucking sued. Tell me how I'm wrong.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I think it's a bit absurdly harsh for a 2-minute trailer. All of these conclusions that have been arrived at. I think the uniforms are fine.
Terrible.
They're a basic blue with some striping and the Delta shield on the chest. It's fine. I don't have any issue with it.
I agree. Pretty
whatsoever. If you're not over the ship by now, I guess you're never going to be over the ship. I don't really care. It's fine.
I don't really care about the ship.
So, all that's left, I mean, the only thing that stuck out to me is the Klingon issue. That's it. That's the only thing that I was like, well, I don't understand what we're doing here. I don't understand why we keep redesigning the fucking Klingons. I hope that there is an in-universe explanation for it, and I like the one that Worf offered in DS9. I like it. Because it makes sense, and it's simple, and it's acknowledged, and that's it. That's all I need. It's just, it's a sentence. Like, something happened, we don't talk about it, move on. That's fine. Just a recognition of the fact that it's different is more than enough for me. So I don't, none of that strikes me as weird. I did think the trailer was a little bit kind of melodramatic, but that's okay. It's Star Trek.
It's a trailer. It's supposed to be.
Yeah.
It's the end of the world. We'll save it.
I am enormously curious about whether what's her face, the actress Sonequa Martin Green, I guess. I can't tell if I was talking about this with somebody else. I can't tell if she's supposed to be, like, they're not going to suggest that she's sort of half human, half Vulcan, right? Pre-Spock, no way. But maybe she's adopted by, like, a Vulcan family. That I could kind of get into. That could be potentially interesting. So, it does look like at least they're keeping one of the few good things about Enterprise alive, which is the tension, the sort of political tension between the humans and the Vulcans at the time that Earth is entering into, long-range space exploration. It looks like at least a little of that is still there. So that could be that. Hopefully they'll explore that to some degree. But it's a 2-minute trailer. It's a 2-minute trailer. I didn't see anybody lose a communicator and start World War III over it. So I'm already like, we're still.
That would have been better.
It's been worse.
It would have been better.
Star Trek has been fucking worse than this trailer.
So, I don't know about all of that. I am. You can feel the Jar Jarification of how this is shot.
I don't know about that. I mean, there's definitely the Enterprise, the bridge. Yeah, the bridge. It looks, it's a little lens flary for my tastes, but
and also strangely dark.
Yeah, but so was the original Enterprise. I don't mean classic. I mean Bakula era was really dark too. I know this is only 10 years prior to Kirk, but
anyway, it just seems like they're floating around on a matter antimatter collider. They could put a few more lights up there. I never have understood how that doesn't, like, when the power goes off, how the ship doesn't explode every time.
I don't know.
How does the containment field
exactly. You think it would just
continue to work?
I don't know.
And the rest of the ship is fucked.
I don't know. They must have a backup generator.
Why don't you make the entire power system out of whatever it is that powers that?
Nah.
Because it's clearly indestructible.
I'm sure it's like just a gas-powered, plug-in generator they have next to the warp coil, like right behind the warp coil.
We need to stop off for some diesel.
Yeah.
Gotta top this off.
We've got plenty of dilithium, not enough diesel yet.
If you want to circle back to something political, and I actually didn't notice this. But apparently there's been a kerfuffle about the complete lack of white people on this show.
Oh, I don't give a shit. God damn it. I really don't care.
It's see, this is the thing. Like, I didn't notice it, but I went online and it was like,
isn't the Vulcan a white guy?
No, I mean, identifiably white people.
Oh.
Like, I think,
identifiably white
guy
people.
Who's waiting to die.
Yeah.
I think he's played by a white guy, but he's, spaghetti monster face.
Yeah.
So
there's another captain that's a white guy.
I don't know. We'll see. I didn't find it bothersome, but once I heard it, I started to swing back to the whole I hate to say it, Marvel controversy because of the appropriation of characters and stuff and exclusion of traditional characters who tend to be white. And it was just like, oh man. And I know that it was unpopular to say, but I understand that some people are sensitive to it. And that could sabotage this to some degree. I don't know what degree, but to some degree I think people can be angry about that.
I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. I would suggest that to sort of, I guess, wrap that up in a blanket a little bit. As Star Trek fans, I think that we need to try to be a little bit more self-conscious of how we approach when people do things with Star Trek, because I think sometimes we're a little ridiculously, irrationally harsh on things, and we'll judge them far before we ever actually even see the first episode. So, this happened with the Next Generation, with everybody who loved classic Star Trek all fucking pissed off that Kirk's not going to be in the show and Spock's not going to be in the show, and how is it Star Trek without William Shatner? All of that shit. Like, I think it's important that, particularly for a property that celebrates an open-minded approach to life and to world organizations and to intergalactic travel and all of that. I think that we could at least follow the example set by the people that we love so much in Star Trek, and calm the fuck down on stuff like what is the racial makeup of the casting and all of that kind of shit, and just wait for the show to come out and see if it's okay or not. Like,
and this is like, if you went back a few episodes, we have never given one fuck about who is in Star Trek.
No,
because it's like, you watch DS9 and you're like, there's Bashir. I don't think there's an Arab. I think there's the medical officer.
Yeah.
But I mean, even as I bitch about everything that has to do with STDs, decisions, it's I still want it to be at least successful enough that CBS continues to, or at least wants to make Star Trek. Either that or that they just fucking abandon it and let the fans do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, honestly, I think that this will probably not be as good as certain fan productions.
Certainly, yeah, probably not certain ones. But then at the same time, and as irritating as I find it that we're yet again in a series that takes place in the fucking past, at least
I don't have a problem
it's
with
new
that.
character. Well, I do. I want to see post Voyager timeline explored a little bit more, but at least it's new characters. And at least it's it's generally, I hope, relatively going to be a new story. So I'm excited for that portion of it, because Star Trek is it's a franchise that could always use even more world building. It does have basically all of the galaxy to explore. So
yeah. So best of luck to Star Trek Discovery and all that bullshit. We'll be talking about it again.
We definitely will be.
Do you have any closing thoughts?
No,
on the trailer.
I hope it's
and all of the bile that I have to spit out.
I have the same attitude toward this that I generally have toward Gifted. I hope it's a moderately decent production of Star Trek that I have no doubt will piss me off on occasion, like other series in the Star Trek universe. But overall, I hope to enjoy it, at least more than Enterprise. I did like Trip. I like Trip. That was kind of my takeaway from Enterprise. I like Trip. I guess I like I like Jeffrey Combs and
Shran.
Yeah,
so good.
I just like Jeffrey Combs and the Vulcan human. I mean, that was the best part of that show. But
I like the Vulcan ambassador too. He was pretty decent. I think the Vulcans in general did well. I know that you're not high on T'Pol.
No, I know
the other ones.
The other ones did. The other ones did well, and I liked. Actually, I thought like the first few episodes of that show were its strongest. I don't know why, but I felt like, I think part of it was that it was fun. Like, I kind of liked seeing them explore some of the technological limitations. It was nice that they couldn't just transport wherever they wanted to. And I think it was the third episode where Trip had to he had to put on a suit, go through a whole decontamination and repressurization process just to visit this other ship that they had encountered. Like, all of that was so cool. I like that they explored some of that, how difficult it was, not only, I guess, linguistically, but physically, to actually try to interact with another species. It was cool.
Whew. That was a little too much moonshine. Subject over. Let's hope they hold on to their communicators. That's all. Yeah, it's important.
Yeah.
Trump, Comey, Syria, Russia. I don't have a lead in. What do you want to talk about?
I don't know. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start in November? Do you want to start in January? I don't know.
I thought that we were going to be talking about, specifically the Trump Comey thing. I know you also have some ideas on Syria, and both of these subjects have something to do with Russia.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about people beating the fuck out of Americans at the Turkish embassy? We can talk about that too.
I don't know where to start. It's hard to approach this. It's really hard to approach it from a macro level view, I think. I will start. You know what? I will start with something positive. I will start with a positive interpretation of the events of the last fucking 5 months. I thought that Trump's decision to arm the Kurds was bold. Not bold in a bad way, but bold. So
I don't think it's necessarily bad. I don't think that we can count on Turkey. And I think, actually, though I was not seriously planning to talk about this. I think we all want to lose our shit that there are foreigners willy-nilly beating the shit out of old people and putting them in the hospital.
Yeah.
Like, on the grand scale of things, it isn't actually that big of a deal. I mean, it's not worth going to war over, but it is kind of a small hint at the way that Turkey has been going, increasingly authoritarian and increasingly abandoning its place in Europe for a better relationship with Russia. And they're only too happy to leverage that to our disadvantage, I guess. So at a certain point, like, the reason why we haven't been arming the Kurds is because, and for some legitimate reasons, Turkey considers the PKK, which is kind of a communist Kurd political party, to be a terrorist organization.
And so do we.
We do, and in part that is to make Turkey happy.
Mm-hmm.
But I think at this point we're like, Turkey's unreliable.
Yeah.
Turkey is moving in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's anyone on the right or the left that would argue with that until you get into like the Young Turks territory of just Holocaust denial.
Which I don't give a shit. Yeah. What they have to say. So I will say that I hate that. I feel like I have to point it out. This is exactly the kind of development that I feel like if it happened under, it's just exactly the kind of development that is viewed through such an absurdly partisan lens. That this is what speaks to how complex I think American foreign policy sort of has to be. This is how I felt during the Obama administration. This is why I felt it was ridiculous to lay the failures of any repair of the relationship between America and Russia at Hillary Clinton's feet, because it's just fucking stupid. Like, it's such a complicated process that it's fucking stupid to pretend like it's all one person's fault. I think it would be absurd to suggest that Trump should have expected this kind of behavior from Turkey on American soil after his decision to arm the Kurds. I think that's ridiculous. I think at the same time, pretending like we certainly cannot rely on Turkey, who is really like one of our only, I would say, capable allies in the particular region where ISIS has claimed so much control. They're not gonna turn back ISIS on their own. Syria is too much of a clusterfuck, and so is Iraq. But I think that arming the Kurds is the right decision if the goal is to overthrow ISIS and destroy that territory, and then figure out what to do with it from there. I think that's probably the right decision, pragmatically speaking.
Yeah.
But
well, I mean,
you know, if this kind of shit happened under an Obama administration, where you've got Erdogan and his goons attacking American citizens, you can only imagine the fucking response. And I don't want to get too much into the partisan thing, but that's what's so upsetting about it, is that, like, because it's a Republican administration, now we can look at this as though, oh, it's not really that big of a deal. But if it was a different administration, my God, the fucking world would be falling apart. And it just,
it's not true.
It's frustrating.
That's not true, because it didn't. And this isn't the first time it's happened.
This is not the first time that it's happened that some people have been roughed up, but this was different. This was definitely different. These guys broke through a police line.
Wasn't it like 2005 and 2006 or 2006 that some, like, Erdogan was here and he was speaking at the Brookings Institute, and his bodyguards roughed up some press and some protesters then.
Yeah, I think it was largely just some press. They didn't break through police lines to do it. And it was not like, I've got this lady in a chokehold and I'm beating the shit out of her. Like, the level of violence was a little bit different. And I would say quite a bit more bold in this particular instance. Not that it matters, but I would say it's
the same idea. I think probably attacking the press is, like, it's not worse, because it's still, I mean, it falls under the same category, First Amendment.
Yeah.
First Amendment,
yeah,
freedom of religion and freedom of speech, freedom of the press,
yeah,
is the First Amendment,
yeah,
because it's the most important.
Yeah.
It is the underpinnings of Western civilization.
Yeah.
Actually, strangely, that's not true, but it is ideally the underpinning of Western civilization. Anyway, I mean, I kind of wonder what people want to have happen with that, because it's like, I mean, you can expel their diplomat until they give diplomatic, or they surrender diplomatic immunity. I think certainly at the very least, pursuing these people or pursuing the country of Turkey for the medical bills, which appears to be a medical or a directed attack. I don't know if you saw both videos.
I think I only saw, I didn't know there were only two, but I saw clips of a number of videos. I don't know if they were all part of it.
Because there's one where you kind of see a guy walk up to Erdogan's car, and like a guy comes out and he's like giving the guy orders, and then that guy goes, and then if you cut to the other video, which actually came out first, you see that guy just run up and just start beating people. And it's like, boss man says you got to go rough up those Americans.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you sure? Seems like a bad idea. No, just do it. It'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
You got diplomatic immunity.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what you want.
I don't know either. There's nothing. I mean, I would say, pragmatically speaking, there's no great recourse for this. I think actually expelling the Turkish diplomat would be fine. They can just reinstate. They could just give somebody else the job, send him over there, and then it's fine.
If you expel him and you try to, get some reparations or something out of him in the meantime, fine. I think eventually you'd have to reinstate him, because pragmatically it's not worth.
Yeah,
it's not worth surrendering Turkey to the Russians.
Yeah.
Say.
Yeah.
Over their violent dislike of people who are pro-Kurdistan.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. The direction that Turkey is going is bad. And I'm not saying give up on them, but I'm getting pretty close to where I would think that's I'm not even saying that I don't think this now. I wouldn't blame someone for giving up on Turkey.
I mean, I see what you're saying. I would at this point, because I mean, I wouldn't give up on them at this point. I think that's pretty premature. But
I wouldn't be like all pissed off and calling my congressman if fucking Dick Durbin was like, we should just give up on Turkey. He's not going to say that. No, he's not. Because
he's not.
He's Dick Durbin. He's an idiot.
Well, it's a dumb idea anyway, but
I mean, that only makes it more reasonable that he would say it.
The decision by itself makes sense. To arm the Kurds to even against the will of Turkey at this point. You still have to assume that Turkey has an interest in dismantling ISIS to some degree, but they're certainly not going to fucking lead that effort. So we basically need more boots on the ground. I will say this though, with the decision to arm the Kurds and further alienate Turkey, and sort of usher them into the arms of Russia to some degree, that decision needs to work. Like, that needs to show that because of the bold nature of that decision, I would expect to see some fucking results with respect to ISIS controlling Raqqa and all of that. Because I think that in the absence of that, it will look like a failure. It will look like a foreign policy failure.
Okay, so what do you think about we've been on this planet for 3.5 decades, more or less. And there's always like this feeling that, well, we want somebody to act this way, but we're not really willing to pressure them. Do you ever feel that, like, if the United States took a more strong stance, like, because you have other countries, like China pursues its foreign policy pretty relentlessly.
Yeah.
Not to the point of military, but they are, I would say, much more aggressive in their self-interest
They'll plant ships.
than we are.
Yeah, they'll plant ships where they need to plant ships for sure.
And I think Russia does the same thing. To whatever ability that they're able to do, because I understand their economy is not great. And then on the high end, you have Israel that will do anything that it takes to survive.
Yeah.
And that is not a negative critique. I think that's what countries are supposed to do. And like for a long time, it feels like we will walk up to a line, and it's not the line of like where we should be. And it's not even a line of compromise. It's the line of sort of like polite international discourse. And to a certain degree, like if we were to look at the Trump North Korea thing, like I don't know if it's a good idea, but it seemed like he started like beating his chest about North Korea, and then China's like, yeah, they're a problem.
Yeah.
And you're like, I mean, if somebody had the gall to do that 20 years ago, maybe it wouldn't be a nuclear armed peninsula.
I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, it's a bizarro-verse question.
Yeah.
There's no way to know.
Yeah.
But it's like, at a certain point, some people argue, even I'm not going to say liberals, leftist pundits will argue that like part of the reason people thought, and for legitimate reasons, that Reagan was effective internationally is because some people thought he was willing to go all the way. And I don't think that you've gotten that, full-throated, we want to win policy out of an American president since then. I don't know. I mean, I'm not advocating by any means that Trump's the perfect person to do this.
Jesus Christ, no, you're not.
But there may be a value in that. And being willing, like even some Democrats during Obama's tenure, when North Korea was getting fucking crazy, because they like to do that every so often, just to remind people that they have conquered the world and are, pure, reasoned people and all that stuff.
Yeah.
They'll throw out, well, we should probably talk to Japan about installing nukes there. And that's the last thing that China wants. And then China starts looking at North Korea and it's like, you guys need to fucking behave.
Yeah.
I don't want the giant robot power to have nuclear weapons too.
Yeah.
And then North Korea looks up at them and they're like, what are you going to do? You're going to starve us? Because we eat bark off of trees anyway.
Well, yeah, they do still do business with certain other nations. But yeah.
Anyway, the point is,
I believe Russia is
like,
one of them. But
leaning on people and knowing where those pressure points are. So like we say, we're going to arm the Kurds.
Yeah.
Are we going to arm the Kurds? Probably to some degree.
Yeah.
Are we? Now, if Turkey wants to start to play ball, then I would imagine that we would arm the Kurds less. See, we still armed them.
Yeah.
But we didn't like give them enough stuff to start a revolution.
Well, that's the caveat now. I'm pretty sure that's exactly the caveat now. Like, we're only going to give them what they need, and it's more like on loan, but...
But what I'm saying is basically, if you're using them as a pressure point to try to get Turkey, because we haven't been leaning on Turkey, like name one thing we've done to Turkey in the last 10 years other than said, well, we should probably do whatever they want.
Yeah.
And in that sense, it could be a reasonable strategy. I'm not saying that's what's happening, but if I were playing Civilization with the level of detail that I would want in Civilization, that might be what I would be doing.
Potentially. So I a couple of things. I do think to some degree that particular view is maybe a little too reliant on, the idea that we're acting out of some sort of politeness or some sort of reluctance to want to engage any more than we normally would, out of fear or out of fear of like offending another nation. I mean, again, I think it's there's a pragmatic concern as to what's the reaction going to be like among the American people as we're again still more than a decade now into Iraq and Afghanistan with little, if any, progress, I would say, in either one of those countries. So the idea that like, well, why don't we start poking North Korea at the same time? Why? I mean, that's going to be the answer, that because we've got our fucking hand. America's got its hand kind of in everybody's cooking jar to some degree when it comes to this stuff. So I think there's a danger of overextension that has to be in play as well, more so than, well, are we gonna piss them off, or are we, do we? I just think that's got to be a concern as well.
Can I interrupt you?
Yes.
I agree. You're right. I mean, it's the truth, and I don't know what our long-term plan is for Iraq or Afghanistan at this point.
And that said, that's got to extend to ISIS to some degree too, because if the ultimate goal is to eradicate and destroy fucking ISIS, that's typically the line. What next? It's the exact same question we didn't answer for Iraq and Afghanistan. The what next is of, I think, paramount concern. Because assuming we do defeat and destroy ISIS, I guess at that point, are we just restoring territory to Syria and Iraq? I'm not sure how well that's going to work out. I think a lot of these issues are because of the way the borders are drawn right now. I mean, it's that kind of stuff that should be taken into consideration. So with respect to the idea that destroying ISIS is the ultimate goal, yes, I think arming the Kurds is a good decision, is probably a necessary decision to make, if that's the goal. But what past that, what do we do then? I don't think that question's been answered, and I would say that you're fair to criticize that all day long.
I wonder to what degree it would be wise for us to recognize ISIS as a state.
Right?
I mean,
God.
How long have they been around? Like 3-4 years now?
Yeah.
And I mean, at what point do you draw them onto the map? I understand that we're going to want to erase them.
For sure.
But like,
for sure,
there's a certain part of me that's like, man, if we just recognize them, all the crazies would like congregate to one place, and then you just get rid of it.
I wish. That never seems to work out, but I wish.
It doesn't. But like, you can be optimistic
Sure.
after 4 or 5 glasses of
easily
moonshine.
These decisions are a lot easier to make at that point, I think. So.
If I were president, I would drink all day.
Right? That's the only way to do it, I think.
I would walk out. I would give the daily press briefings probably at least once every other week. I would walk out and I would say, you have this much time. It's in a clear glass. They can see it.
Yeah.
It says President of the motherfucking United States on the front of it. And if somebody asked me like a really stupid question, just down the whole thing, throw the bottle at him or the glass at him, and walk the fuck out.
Love it.
I'm done.
Love it.
I pick up the mic off the podium. I drop it.
Love it. You're immediately more likable than the current president, I would say. So.
I'm more likable than most people, and definitely the current president. I have a great sense of humor. It's pervasive.
That helps. So yeah, I don't know. I kind of appreciate his decision.
Someone wants to tweet at me, I'll be like,
I don't have Twitter. I hope you just say I don't have Twitter.
No, I'll tell my intern, like one of 50. I'll be like, tell them I'm the president of the United States. Say that.
Period. God.
Whoever's bitching at me, Katy Perry's bitching at me. Hey, I'm the president of the United States. Thumbs up.
Yeah. That works. That's sufficient.
That would be a much more calm, relaxed,
stable, coherent,
not less egotistical, but definitely
more coherent. But yeah,
I'm coherent as fuck. Syria. Do we still have Syria issues?
I mean, past like what the overall, I don't understand where we're at with that fucking country.
Are we at the same page at this point where it's like, fine, Assad, who cares?
Well, that's a great question. That's a great question. Because when we got mad at him for chemical. It was the sequel to Chemical Weapons Attack 1. This time we got mad and we shot the missiles, and that was a great idea this time around. So I don't fucking know. I have no idea.
Some of that was still smoke and mirrors. I still think some of that smoke and mirrors.
I think most of it. I feel like, yeah. Like most. Sometimes, honestly, I hate to say this, but a lot of Trump's decision making, it does feel like it's out of the handbook of your classic autocrat. I'm under fire for some reason, so I do this other thing to try to distract people from the fact that I'm having to deal with this whole other issue over here.
I don't know.
It's a little
I don't know, because
insane.
like that, there is a part of the art of the deal that talks about that, and you are correct that is a strategy that he does endorse at times. But at the same time, I think some of it's overblown.
I don't know.
It's not okay. I don't think. I absolutely know that some of it's overblown. Because like you have, I mean, to go back to the whole Turkey roughing up protesters thing, people are like, oh, nothing like this has ever happened.
Yeah,
And you're like,
well,
what
sure.
about like 1 or 2 years ago?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I mean, it was different because they didn't have to like deal with the police line, or some stupid thing like you just said.
Well, it's true, it is different, but but it did still happen.
I mean, it's not, you're never gonna have the exact same event occur over and over again. It's comparable,
and the point is the partisan reaction to it, not that.
Yeah, and I didn't get all over Obama for not doing anything on that, and I'm probably not going to get on Trump for not doing a whole lot, though I would appreciate if he would.
Yeah.
Because like every day it's like the end of the fucking world. And every day the system churns on. The sun rises. And I'm not making light of this, because every generation has a responsibility to maintain what we have. But we should try to calm down a little.
I think I will say this. It's a fair point. I think it's a difficult point to make at this day and age. Because again, I mean, you've got a lot of the people who are convinced that the world is ending right now. To some degree, that's a reaction to the number of people that thought the world was ending because of Hillary Clinton's emails, because of Benghazi, because Obama wasn't born in America. I mean, it's the exact fucking opposite side of that. Obamacare was going to destroy
the world was ending.
Obamacare was going to destroy healthcare as we knew it. There were death panels. I mean, that kind of shit, that fever pitch has been in play for a long time now. And I think
we do not want to talk about health insurance.
I think to suggest that we all need to calm down. Yes, you're right. I think it's a hard argument to make, though, particularly with this fucking president, because he will say he's out of his mind with what he will say. He lies every fucking day. It is goddamn like the pictures of the crowds at his inauguration, that was an issue. Why? The fact that Obama was tapping his fucking, I mean, it's just insane. Like, it's just insane. This is not a normal president. and this certainly isn't a typically Republican president either. So I think that while you're right, we would all do better to calm down a little bit and try to see this a little bit more with a little bit more perspective. It's hard to do because this is a ridiculous fucking president who is proving every single day that experience actually does matter and actually does count.
Let me expound a little bit on this. Keith Olbermann, a couple of days on air, wished that someone would conquer the United States for the purposes of dethroning.
Yeah, sure.
El Presidente Trump. And you just listen to that and you're like, that's insanity.
Yeah.
Like, you can say that Trump's insane, but that is a sort of mania that has been driven into you somehow. It's mostly a product of your own imagination.
Yeah.
And I can't even explain it. It's just madness.
It is madness.
It's utter madness. And it's like, I want people to rationally look at things, because there are a lot of things that Trump does that I don't think are smart. I mean, clearly.
Yeah.
But like, Democrats have been calling for his impeachment for 7 months. He's only been president for 5. It's like, calm the fuck down. Just take it down a notch. Give me a rational argument, not just, I want a foreign power to conquer the United States. What in the world?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy, but I would argue that's been political discourse now for quite a while.
But it shouldn't be.
No, it shouldn't be.
And what I'm saying is I want it to change, because
I think what's hard about that is that that's exactly the kind of arguments that got Trump elected. That's exactly how we got to where we are right now, is completely irrational fear and paranoia and exaggeration of the actual state that the country is in. All of that together has ballooned and helped get this fucking idiot elected into the presidency. This guy and his 2-year campaign with the fucking birth certificate. That kind of shit that is just completely fucking overblown and totally irrational and totally conspiracy minded. That's what's driving political thought, and it's been driving it for a long time now, I would say.
It's just, it's unhealthy, because like, I mean,
it is.
God forbid you get on Facebook and you have people who are like, so this such and such conspiracy is going to destroy the Republican Party. And you're like, okay, if this was an argument, actually, I would be more likely to respond if somebody had put up one about destroying the Democratic Party, because like, whatever. Anyway, the thing is, like, do you want a one-party state? Because those states usually don't go well.
I have a question. You finish your thought. I have a question for you related to that, but yeah.
Okay. But it's like, I want 2 healthy parties. I tend to vote for who I think is this isn't always true, but I tend to vote for the person who I think is most qualified for the job. If the incumbent is reasonably qualified and has not like done something that I think is disqualifying, fine. Continue to do whatever you're doing. Yeah. I may not like everything that you're doing, but if you're capable and you're not corrupt and, check all the boxes of good governance.
Well, you're not corrupt. Come on now. This is a politician that we're talking about, but still.
I mean, this rarely happens in Illinois. We have
not corrupt.
Imprisoned at least 2 governors in our time. Obama was from our state.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of issues. There is all sorts of issues with Illinois politics. But I mean, I want there to be at least 2 functioning parties, because you have to have the plurality of ideas. No one party has all the right ideas, and you get the whole red team, blue team bullshit, where it's like, and I get this a lot because, of course, a lot of my friends are, I guess they I hate this word, identify as conservatives.
Okay.
But it's like, if you were to ask me what I identify as, we've been over this. I identify as a classic liberal person.
Yeah.
Which is now basically synonymous with libertarian, except that their party is fucking wacko.
Well, I thought it was synonymous with Nazi, but yeah.
One or the other. You know, it's a fine line.
I mean, those are the only two positions. I'm the socialist on this podcast, so
it's either socialist or Nazi.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. That's my understanding for the past 10 fucking years or so. Like,
but like, you can look back at it and you look at, and don't interrupt me in the middle of this.
I'm gonna.
But well, fuck you. But you look at Obama, and he would, like, several times, he's like, I'm willing to have a discussion as long as people have reasonable opinions. And that was code word for, I will talk to people who 99% agree with me.
I guess.
And then you can go back to Bush, and Bush can be kind of like, you're either with us or against us. You're like, yeah, you might want to ratchet that back quite a bit.
Yeah.
And it's like, it is an escalation of ideological thought, and it's not healthy because it doesn't make sense. And you and I agree on certain things.
Mm-hmm.
We agree on, of all things, the fucking minimum wage debate.
Yeah.
And
totally.
I mean, you're a socialist.
Yeah.
You want to kill 3/4 of the people on the planet.
Oh my God, that's the right answer. That's the only answer. But yeah, I mean, if we're talking pragmatically anyway, that's the only real.
And then I am a libertarian, let's say. I don't love the label, but I get it a lot. And so we would have nothing in common.
Sure.
But we do.
Yeah.
And we can get together and we can talk about it. And it isn't red team, blue team. I mean, we can argue red team, blue team. But at the end of the day, you know, we still have to basically live in the same society. And it's just, it's crazy that people think, like, if you were to actually take your position seriously, like, you're either a socialist or you're a Nazi.
Yeah.
There are people who seem to legitimately believe
that. I would say so.
And they are dangerously crazy.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah. So my question related to what you have been talking about, because one of the things I've been struggling with is, like, how do you look as, particularly as like a Trump supporter? And I don't mean to single them out specifically. This particular symptom is certainly common on both sides of the fence. But as a Trump supporter, when you look at even just the timeline of events, his tweets, his attitude toward Comey, his decision to fire him ultimately, when you look at all of that stuff and stack it up, I mean, it looks so bad. And you look at the opposite side of that and you think, well, what the fuck has he done in the past 5 months that has been good? Like, that has actually helped anybody out? And I would argue that it's not much. I mean, there are some broad executive orders, some of which haven't really gone over very well. But you haven't seen, I don't think, a whole lot of him delivering on whatever he promised to the people who voted for him, or whatever those people thought that he promised. And you've still got people who are like, well, we still like him. He's still a strong leader. I don't know what that's based on. I don't know if that's based on anything other than his, like, just supreme sense of self-confidence that he has about himself and his decision making. The fact that he is right, he knows what to do, and that he's a strong leader. I mean, there's no one that I don't think you can argue against the idea that Donald Trump is a strong fucking leader, because he is such a bold personality. And I wonder, to what degree do you think Americans are just responding to that, are just responding to his extreme self-confidence, He can do almost anything and say almost anything and not lose a number of these supporters because he is so confident in that. And I just wonder to what degree is that where the allegiance kind of comes from?
It's hard to say. Now, I do want to kind of dissect some of what you've said because I think you hit on a lot of different
I did.
things.
Yeah, I did.
So to one end, you can say he's trying. Now, I understand completely that legislatively, there's not a lot of movement.
Sure.
In terms of bills moving between houses and then becoming laws. And from my perspective, that actually doesn't bother me. Particularly, I don't think that if you agree with the idea that there is perfection and that you are ultimately trying to work towards that, and that collectively, like most people are doing that, and the legislation represents the will of the people, if you accept all of those things, eventually we would get to a point where you wouldn't have much to do.
Sure.
So certainly the idea that passing laws, and certainly passing bad laws, is actually worse than not doing anything.
Well, yeah.
So like for me, the legislative activity isn't a real thing. I mean, like, clearly you would want to see more of it, and the degree to which Democrats, like, within hours were like digging in their heels and saying, no, we will never help the president on anything.
Yeah.
Even if he wants to sign a proclamation that people matter.
Well, he's never going to sign that, but
fuck that. But like, you just had them take the hardest of hardcore partisan things, and it's not all of them.
No.
Like hashtag not all Democrats.
Right.
Fucking ridiculous
right.
hashtag. So like, you can see him trying to do it. The media decries his attempts to put through executive orders, which I don't think is the right way to run a democracy for the most part. I understand the necessity for some sort of executive order thing. I am a little bit weary about how far people think and how in the law it is enshrined how far it can go.
Yeah.
So if he's trying and then the Democrats are being obstructionists, then, I mean, what are you going to do?
Right.
Like, for the most part, we are taught from a young age that if you play a game fair, to whatever degree that is fair, but we have rules to this game that we call politics.
Yeah.
If you play by the rules and you still lose, it's a laudable thing still.
Yeah.
Like, it's important. It's part of social psychology. You need to be able to play well with others so that people continue to play the game with you. Anyway, so you have the obstructionist thing, and I think with the executive orders, you see people who do have like an interest specifically in the devaluation of labor, which is also the immigration issue, who at least see him trying to do something.
To a degree.
So they may be latching onto that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But the people in Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Michigan who have been just ravaged by NAFTA would probably be like, well, at least he's trying.
Yeah.
And these fucks are stopping them. Now, there has been even in his core, kind of a drop off in support.
Yeah.
And whatever. I don't know that necessarily translates to him being in any sort of trouble, but I mean, in an actual poll, but I think it'll lead to trouble, and we'll probably get to that just a little bit later.
Yeah.
He has helped sign, just like a day or two ago, he signed some ridiculously large military contract with Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, which was a little, but again, how much of that is yeah.
I mean, the guns and tanks are made in America.
Yeah.
And if you make guns and tanks, well, chances are you're probably not voting Democratic anyway.
Guys,
and now you have even more money in your wallets.
Ignore the Russia. There you go. So ignore the Russia thing.
I would probably disagree about the leadership thing, but what you did say kind of reminded me of the general sentiment that I've already expressed even in this podcast, which is that like Americans are kind of used to like half-assing foreign deals.
Yeah.
And to see a guy who's, America first. I mean, even I like if you were to say America first to me, I would be like, yeah, of course.
Sure.
Implementation may differ.
Yeah.
But the general idea, we are a country, we should look out for our self-interest, makes sense.
Yeah, sure.
So, I mean, there could be some of that. There's no way to know. And
there is.
And I wouldn't even guess.
Yeah.
How much of that is A or B
or
C, which is, I guess, the broad category of other.
Yeah.
I do think one of the things that falls in the broad category of other is basically, I think, all right, I think that there's about 25%, maybe as high as 30% on either side that could watch Barack Obama sacrifice an infant or Donald Trump do the same in the Rose Garden and still be like, makes sense.
Yeah, and that's exactly why I'm asking this question and to try to attempt to diagnose the pervasiveness of this attitude, because the idea is not that it's that Trump is so magnetic, that his personality is so magnetic, and because he's so confident, that's what's drawing people to him. What I think it really is, and this goes to this would speak to the other side of the fence as well, is that I think that it's just a desire for absolute fucking simplicity when it comes to having any kind of political position whatsoever. To me, it just seems like Americans now and for the past number of years have gravitated toward the most simplistic interpretation of any particular political position, and that's the one that they latch onto, and that's all there is. It's almost more of an identity issue, I think, than it is a policy issue, where if I can simplify a larger political issue that confirms where I am in my political position, that's what matters. It's more about my identity and me being right among this other group of people that I associate with that is right than it is about policy in general. And I think that's where a lot of his appeal comes from. But I think it has a lot more to do with simplicity than it does almost anything else. I don't think people want to really think about the pragmatic or practical effects of foreign policy. And I think that's why we are so tempted to reduce every goddamn bill and every political issue to some sort of larger ideological concept. It almost has to be understood and presented in the prism of ideology for people to latch onto it and to give a shit.
Okay.
I don't know. That's what I think, kind of.
Okay. I don't know the answer to this, but what do you think the chances are? Because like the concept of virtue signaling has been a thing for a while.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure. Yeah.
We all have, hashtag bring our girls back or whatever the hell.
Yeah. Bring our girls home and Black Lives Matter and
zero
Blue Lives Matter and
to the hashtag.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, I think there are differences, and for the most part, and this may just be because I'm optimistic, I would probably just think that most people don't want to spend the time to really investigate these ideas.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that it's all I want to, fit in. I think it's just like, I saw this article. It said, "Why is Trump an asshole?" And I just figured, oh, so the obvious conclusion is that Trump's an asshole.
Yeah.
And I just went with it.
Yeah.
And fuck all of the articles that start with "why."
Seriously. That is one of the biggest issues to me in journalism nowadays. Stop starting your fucking articles with the word "why."
I am going to presuppose that my proposition is true.
God damn it.
And
why is this a bad
now,
idea? Just say it's a bad idea, you pussy. Just say this is a bad idea. Like,
yes.
God damn it.
If you don't think it's a bad idea, click and I will explain to you why.
Yourself.
But I think there is a thing, because I think to some degree, I think there's kind of, at least on the left, an idea that like there's kind of the nice right think sort of thing.
Yeah.
And that they all want to get around it and let everyone else know that they are a right thinking person.
Yeah.
And that's traditionally what virtue signaling is. And I think on the right, or who even knows what these words mean anymore? But on the right, I do think you do have a little bit of like, I don't want to say it's identitarian, because I don't really like that term. and like, I understand both its pitfalls, and also I accept that it's a legitimate way of thinking. But I think people on the right can look at their own lives and tend to look at their own lives and sometimes think, well, it's because of this problem, and they can define an other.
Okay.
And so it's kind of the opposite thing. And I'm not saying one thing or the other is actually worse, even though you would expect that defining others is worse. But I think that this is starting to sound like a Bill Burr special. The general crux of it is like, if you think that your job is being stolen by immigrants, and there are people who can legitimately point and say,
sure, that does happen.
That happens. Then I understand their willingness to basically go along with anything.
Yeah.
As long as it validates that feeling.
Yeah. And
on the other side, I just want to feel like a good person, even if I'm a monster. I'm going to go onto Twitter. I'm going to go onto Facebook. And I'll post all the memes and the hashtags, and I'm going to put the filter on the thing when somebody shoots up the next club.
Yeah.
Wherever country that is. Like, and I still think that's the minority on either side. But I do think they fall in that implacable group on either side that would watch with a certain sense of vindication whoever their president is sacrificing children to a pagan god.
I mean, I would argue that I don't know if it's to the same degree, but there is certainly a lot of virtue signaling on the right as well. I would say that holding up the American flag, Blue Lives Matter, all of that stuff is generally virtue signaling on the fucking right side of the fence, I would say. Any of that stuff, any America First, any of that kind of shit, all of that, it's the same kind of identity-based politics, I think, that you would see on the left. It's not that different. I think I don't know. I think you do it maybe a disservice to not recognize it as such, because that's certainly fucking part of it. Patriotism, all of that. Like, for some, I don't know why. The right wing or Republicans or conservatives or however you want to define it, I don't know why that is somehow a more patriotic position than anyone on the left. But part of it is because of the virtue signaling, because these are the people that fucking put flags in their front yard and put all that shit on display. That's part of it, I think, at least.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Honestly, I have a bumper sticker on my car that has to do with the thin blue line.
Well, there you go.
But like I bought it specifically after a Black Lives Matter guy shot up the Dallas PD.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
And like, to me, that's just like, no, that's unacceptable.
And it is. I would argue it's still virtue signaling, since you are signaling something to another fucking person, another passing motorist.
I guess. But... I mean, like, I accept your argument, but the reason that I have it is more like, I just want somebody to know that. I don't know.
There you go. But that's the same thing.
I can't defend it. I can't defend it.
And there you go.
Just we're gonna let it go. We're gonna let it go.
I think that's a lot of. I think that happens a lot on both sides of the fence. I don't know. We say this shit all the time. I think people are a lot more alike than they are dissimilar. I think a lot of this is just a sort of tribalist kind of thought. Where in order to define myself, in order to be able to identify myself and know who I am, I have to distinguish myself from this other. And the easier it is for me to do that, the stronger I feel about my own sense of principles and my own values, and all of that shit. I think it's enormously selfish. I think that's where a lot of political discourse is coming from nowadays. And I think that's what makes politics and religion so remarkably similar to each other. I think so much of it is so fucking selfish, because it is about defining me, and it's about me feeling better and superior to those around me.
Well, that's not really why I put a sticker
I'm not saying that's why you did it. No,
I put
I'm
a
not
sticker
saying
on
that's why
my
you
car
did it.
because I feel like
I did not put an
even
X-Men
growing
sticker
up-
on my car to feel superior to everybody else, though I am. But
even growing up, though, like, I looked at a cop and I naturally felt, I mean, and it wasn't even the Judge Dredd 1995 version when Sylvester Stallone says, basically, and this is true even today, that as an officer, you're kind of set aside from the rest of people because people expect more of you.
Yeah.
And then also they view you kind of as the villain because, like, even if it's as simple as the time that you and I were driving through downtown and I got pulled over because I hadn't replaced the sticker on the back of my car.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as you see a cop, you kind of like clench up because it's like, shit, I don't want to be in trouble, authority, etc.
Right.
And like, I feel legitimately sorry for people who have to basically put on a uniform and drive around, you know, a car that basically says, I'm gonna get you.
Yeah.
And then everybody naturally responds hostily to that.
Yeah.
But they are doing something that is so necessary.
Yeah.
And then now we have people who are, you know, gunning them down because of what is necessary to happen in a civilized society. And like, I just wanted to put that out there so they knew that somebody cared about them.
Right. So that's fine. And that's
so it wasn't about me.
And that's totally valid.
And in a sense,
and I'm not suggesting that it's,
I expected somebody was gonna fucking smash my car up, which would have been fine because I'm kind of in the market anyway. But
nice. Yeah, that's actually good for you if it does happen. But yeah.
But I was like thinking, man, this is a bad idea. I could pick a fight with somebody who's gonna win.
Yeah.
Like, real easily, really.
Yeah. and that's fine.
But,
and I know that I have no doubt that your decision to do that came from a genuine place. And I have no doubt that on the other side of the fence, people who have had numerous run-ins with the police. Particularly, I'm just wondering if Tactic Angel had as many bullshit run-ins with the police as me and a certain blue sky giant, particularly in our high school days. I have some sympathy for the mistrustful attitude toward the police. Do
you remember when we lived together?
Yes, I do.
I got pulled over because I lived in that apartment.
Yeah. I had a real issue with parks at night, especially after apparently they closed. I don't know how many police I have interacted with in Illinois.
How much it sucks about parks closing? It's not like the park comes out and
right,
tells
it's
you.
Stupid. Nobody shuts a door, but the fucking
field.
Fucking cops know like right away. It seems like
there's a swing set and
they all
gym,
come out and they're like
10:05.
Hey, can I search you? And you're like, fine, fucking god damn it, I don't have anything on me. Like, so yeah, I don't know. I have a certain amount of sympathy for a sort of skeptical view when a police officer comes around. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, what are we saying? What are we really saying right now, other than that people on opposite sides of the fence have a lot more in common than they probably realize. And that most of the misgivings most of the misgivings I think come from a pretty legitimate position. But I think it's that desire for simplicity, that desire for the simplicity of argument. That if it's easy for me to understand and I can, and it can be related to me in a sentence or two, then I'll just fucking latch on to that, because that's what makes me feel better. I feel right in my position. And maybe I'm being an asshole. It's possible that I'm being an asshole and I have like a really dim view of most of the world. I do want to get rid of about 75% of it. But you know, that's what I think. I just think it's and maybe from a slightly more compassionate point of view, it's probably part of it is probably that people's lives are complicated. They have a lot of shit to do that has absolutely fucking nothing to do with politics on a daily goddamn basis. That the simplistic political argument is going to be more appealing just because that's one more fucking check mark off the list. Now I know how to feel about this particular issue, so I can move forward on that and deal with the fact that I'm behind on my rent. You know,
and it's also like the whole Nazi phenomenon is gone. Like, I think we're too far away from it now that we don't really realize, and by we I mean generally, how bad it was.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that. Like the ease with which I would agree with that with both Nazism and communism. The ease with which those two comparisons are deployed, I would largely agree. Yeah.
I would think that I think more people get accused of being a Nazi.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Because people will still wear
ultimate
Che Guevara, and I think he only killed 30,000 people or something.
That's not enough. And I don't think they were all exclusively Jews. So I mean, that's
Joseph Stalin, who did kill Jews specifically.
He definitely did,
and who did take ethnic cleansing to be a serious and important moral issue of his time. They'll wear his T-shirt around.
Yeah,
you don't see people wearing Hitler around, but I think one of those gets thrown around a little bit more than others. I enjoy calling roundabouts communist, but that's just because I think they're un-American.
They are un-American. They are. They don't make any and no American knows how to navigate them. That's really how you know. But yeah, they are un-American.
It's fucking terrible traffic control.
Awesome.
I might have lost the plot of wherever I think we did
some time ago. I will ask you for your overall opinion though of the Trump, Comey, Russia. I mean, I don't really know what I expect to hear you say. It's bad. It looks bad, but past that, I don't know really what there is to say.
I want to say first. So the Stillhouse Original Moonshine, America's Finest Apple Crisp Whiskey, comes in a bottle that actually is not made of glass.
What's it made of? Is it plastic?
It is. It looks like the same material that you get paint thinner out of.
Okay.
And I kind of like
I
that.
suppose
That's
that
the
is
only
appropriate.
That is the only reason why I bought it. It's a
It's a tin.
It's a tin. And it's got the red all the way around. It's got a little label on it so that they don't have to make more than one type of these that tell you that it has apple in it.
That's awesome.
And then it has the screw top. You might have heard this a few times.
Yeah, screw top. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that is American.
That's metal on metal,
That
buddy.
is American. That is industrial.
Are we going to talk about specifically the Comey thing?
I don't know.
Is that what you asked me?
Yeah, I mean, what is there? I don't know what there is really to say about it.
So, like, here's the thing. I mean, I look at it and kind of the clusterfuck of interviews that he did around the time that he fired him looks bad.
Yeah.
And I think, like, it wasn't particularly smart because you just say, look, nobody liked the guy, so I fired him.
Yeah.
That would have been true.
That's a very easy thing to say. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
How many Democrats called for his resignation
exactly.
before this?
Exactly. You had precedent on both sides of the fucking fence for that decision.
You had like three days before it happened or something like that. You had Hillary Clinton on there, and she's all like, "Oh, I lost the presidency because
of Comey."
Yeah. And you're like, "No, you lost the presidency because you're a lying bitch."
Well, she might be a little bit right about that because Trump won the presidency because he's also a lying bitch.
No, he's yeah. Whatever. To blame the FBI director for the fact that you are doing things wrong is a little bit silly. And that would hold true also for Trump.
I don't know. Honestly. And that's because he's the fucking president. He's the fucking president. And there is a little bit of legitimacy there in the sense that, like, the FBI was investigating that campaign as well prior to the actual election. But for some weird reason, he felt the need to talk about Clinton's investigation and not make anybody aware of the Trump campaign's investigation that was going on concurrently. So there's a legit bone to pick there, but yeah.
Okay. I'm not wholly opposed to that argument, and I'm not even going to argue against it because I just don't care all that much.
It doesn't matter now, but yeah.
But like, you look at it, and you have like Harry Reid, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer. Are there three bigger Democratic names? They've all said they have no faith in him and or that he should resign.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And then so Clinton says basically he cost me the election.
Yeah.
And then like 2 or 3 days later, he says, you know, it really makes me sick to think that I fucked up the election, but I do it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he gets fired that afternoon and they're like, oh, reprehensible behavior.
Yeah.
And so like there's a part of me that looks at that and is like, oh, that's fucked. And then like on the other hand, you have Comey who takes a complete pass on the whole and actually like troddens all over what the Justice Department's supposed to do and being like, yeah, so there's a lot of issues here with the email stuff and I don't think we should do anything.
Well, that's typical. And then that's not really that out of line. I mean, the Attorney General already said like I'm going to fucking do whatever whatever the recommendation is. That's probably and it makes perfect sense for that. It's not that big of a deal, I would say, for the director of the FBI to suggest that it's a little ridiculous to pursue a conviction based on this.
It is completely ridiculous because like you have people like Donald Keyser, he got thrown in jail for more than a year, which would have probably hampered her ability.
You can point to that shit all day long, all fucking day, and we get back to the argument about, are you going to pursue Colin Powell then? And no one's going to do that. Nobody's going to do that. Like I think that's a dry well. I think that's a fucking dry well. I don't really think there's anything of any legitimate value to draw to that. I will say, to your larger point, is it legitimate to have fired James Comey based on his performance as the director of the FBI? Yes, you can make an argument for that. Yes.
I mean,
yes.
like, and then, like, specifically people getting over Rosenberg or whatever the hell his name is, and being all up in his ass about, you wrote this letter that led to the firing until Donald Trump gave another interview and he said, nah, he's going to do it anyway.
Yeah. You can totally. And
you look at that guy and you're like, yeah, I mean, clearly I could have wrote you a letter and I don't know shit about this.
Yeah, totally. It would have been pretty easy to do. it's
so,
yeah, that the FBI had a political impact by itself is, I mean,
and this has kind of been like a tradition with the FBI since Hoover, who liked to kind of play the behind the scenes politics thing, that the FBI director
should not be
isn't out there making
an
ass out of himself constantly.
Yeah. I agree. There's a legit argument there. And the thing that I find so revealing is that Trump is too fucking stupid to realize it. He's too dumb and too fucking inexperienced to understand that. And to me, that speaks volumes about the fucking value of experience in that particular office that he clearly, demonstrably does not fucking have. He's such a goddamn idiot. He invites all of this shit on himself. It's all his own fucking doing. And that's what... No. And that to me is like, so I don't understand how you continue to support
uncharitableness that the media
ridiculous.
Typically gives them, and the kind of every day is the end of the world thing that we've already talked about even today. But I get the fact he's
an amateur.
He is making mistakes.
He is an amateur.
And I don't know if you're one of the people who believes that he's playing 3D underwater chess. I don't know what his game is because I don't know how to play that. And so maybe in like 2 or 3 weeks, it'll be like, oh, how brilliant is he? But I just don't plan on seeing that.
That's not going to be the case. It's been 5 months already. Like that's not going to be the case. I think he's just a completely self-obsessed idiot who doesn't understand the office of the presidency. He doesn't understand how to interact with the press. He does not understand the ramifications of his own fucking decision making, and he doesn't know how to explain it at all. He's a child. I just 5 months into this, this is pretty clearly, I think the only conclusion that one can come to. He's an idiot, and he doesn't know what he's doing, and he's extremely concerned about his own about the perception of himself among the rest of America, and he's too stupid to be able to figure out how to communicate that effectively to anybody but his most ardent supporters.
I will agree with you insofar as that. I don't think that he is behaving.
This is the experience issue. I think the easiest conclusion to come to is that clearly political experience is of extreme value when it comes to running a fucking government. And the fact that he has absolutely none has been so apparent for the past 5 months. That this idea, what I hope at the end of the day is that this idea that somebody who is an outsider, that somebody who comes from private enterprise is somehow more capable of running a country than somebody who has been a politician for a long time. I hope that we put that idea to bed. That we put that, because that to me is just a gamble. That's just a fucking...
I don't think you're going to get that, because I think, like...
It's ridiculous.
Like, if we were to go back
and childish.
If we were to look at like Carly Fiorina, or, I mean, Mitt Romney, but he was also a governor for
he was, yeah. He at least had something.
But he had more. I mean, like, I see it both ways, because I don't think that you need to have been a career politician in order to be a decent politician.
I think you do.
I think it's arguable that the the scope of Donald Trump's enterprise has been narrow enough that he has been able to basically rely on family and sycophants to get it done.
Yeah.
And in the United States is a, let's just say, slightly larger enterprise.
Yeah. Well, see, I don't see it like that. I don't see the business of governance as a fucking business at all. I think it's enormously different, and I think the concerns are extraordinarily different from a private enterprise. And I think that's the issue that he's running into more than anything else, because as American citizens, we can say he's a fuckhead. He's a fucking idiot. He's a stupid asshole, and I'm not worried about being fired from America for it. I mean, I'm not remotely concerned about that. So I think that his attitude that he can just do whatever he wants and not get a bunch of criticism because because everybody who he surrounds himself with is not on his own payroll. I think that's clearly one of the biggest differences between running a fucking private business and running a goddamn nation full of people who disagree with you. I think that speaks volumes to his lack of experience and his lack of preparedness for actually being a president. He is a clusterfuck of a fucking president so far. It is ridiculous to have this much controversy, even even if you believe that the press leans left more than it leans right. This is a ridiculous amount of controversy to generate in the first 5 fucking months of the presidency. It's absolutely absurd. There is no precedent for it. So, and that's him. That's his fault. That's his fault and his lack of experience. It's not anybody else, I would say.
That reminds me of the NPR interview when Donald Trump was doing his chest banging for the North Korea.
Mm-hmm.
They had somebody on, and the woman who was interviewing the guy was like, "So what you're saying is this," and he would be like, "No, that's not what I'm saying." Okay. So, and then he would explain it. And then she's like, "So what you're really saying is that his ideas are so terrible that et cetera." And he would be like, "Again, no." And it was like they hadn't pre-screened this guy because he wasn't doing what they wanted him to.
Yeah.
It's like, in the end, what would you give him on North Korea? A grade, A to F. He's like, A-. And then you hear her say this over the air. It was just funny. It was funnier than hell.
That's fine.
But serious question. What is worse, Donald Trump or CBS?
Donald Trump. Clearly.
You're wrong.
Clearly. Clearly. Because I think if you start blaming the press for what's going on in America,
need to look at how
you're
long
ridiculous.
This episode is.
It's ridiculous to fucking pin the blame at the press. To pin the blame on the press is a little childish. It's just
CBS
seriously
hates its fans.
No,
who wants
fuck that.
to destroy all
Donald
that is
Trump
good in this
is
world.
a dumbass. He has absolutely no fucking idea what he is doing. He appears to be making up every decision as he goes along. CBS has a much clearer vision of moving forward with respect to Star Trek than Donald Trump does of moving forward with America. That's I would say that CBS cares more about Star Trek than Donald Trump cares about America. Boom.
And that is why you are a communist.
Boom.
Are we done?
Yeah, we can be done. I guess we can be done.
Do you see the timer? It's stupid.
Oh boy. Well, let me take this. Let me take this opportunity to apologize to anybody who has listened this far. I am sorry.
I also agree. This has been an unusual form of torture.
But again, I mean, considering the political atmosphere, could we really expect anything different for a podcast that claims to talk about politics every once in a while?
I understand why we don't.
Yeah, we should just drop that wholesale.
I'm not wholly like
we shouldn't, because I still like doing it.
You always have hope.
I still like
you
doing
still
it,
have hope that like people will pull it together.
Right? Yeah. You do. I have the utmost faith in the United States of America itself, the country itself, and your average American citizen. Despite the fact that I want to get rid of 75% of them, along with the rest of the world, I still have the utmost faith in them as a people, for sure.
Fantastic. Well, guys, that has been episode number 23 of the Wednesday Night Gentlemen multimedia official podcast, whatever. Thank you everyone for watching. Nobody's here. Please feel free to like and or subscribe to our channel if you've enjoyed our banter. Head on over to our Facebook page and give us a like there, and we will see you on episode number 24 of the Wednesday Night Gentlemen.